the brand new one. Top shelf center.
Now you know the 510 has a new basket, right?
Ow.
It has
No,
the
it's
15.
That's a door.
the non-stamped steel version.
All right, let's see. Georgia Scion, that's our next guy. How and when did you and Steve meet up and join forces?
Gay bar.
Answer first. Yeah, it was the gay bar actually. In Atlanta.
No.
Yes, it was. Stop it. Let's see. At the Dub Show in Atlanta, and I believe that it was 2006. Pete attended with a shop he was doing design and build work for, and that was part time at the time for him while he was doing something else professionally, and that's what we call it. And I ran into him at that show, and he found some interest in at least my interest in what he knew already. So my interest was piqued, and we sat around a table and had 15 people at that table, and they all ended up just kind of sitting there like going, what the hell are these two guys talking about? As we just went off in outer space on every sort of different tangent we could regarding car audio and audio in general. And since then, of course, I knew that Pete wasn't pulling shit out of his ass. That's the key. And I've learned from a lot of guys out there in the past that and built up this idea of how things really are. How things really are, and it's come to find out that a lot of that is just false. There's so much that is false, and so much that has tried to be generalized over the years, because everybody wants to make something a cookie cutter, and you find out when you really want things to do exactly what you need them to do in a car or in a house, anything, it's got to be engineered. You've got to know the effect that each boundary and each chamber, each part of the car, everything has an effect on this. And when I recognized that after talking to him right away, it was an epiphany at that point, and said, all right, I've got to work with Pete, and plus the fact he's a funny bastard, so we get along.
Funny looking right now with this haircut.
What's your take on that?
Oh, that's about right. I just remember the chicken wings. Those were good.
Oh yeah, the LPTs. By the way, I got to give props to what was it, Locos in Atlanta.
Is that what it was?
Locos, yep. Locos does LPT. So if any guys are anywhere near Atlanta, you go into Atlanta, hit a Locos, and get some LPTs. Ask for those. You can't ask for them anywhere else, because everybody's like, what the hell is that? It's lemon pepper teriyaki, and it's specifically the way that they coat them, and then the way that they coat them in the other. I don't remember which one is first, but it works, and it's the bomb.
And ever since, Steve's been trying to get me to move to Oklahoma.
That's right. We have Buffalo Wild Wings. That's the next best thing. I go there every Tuesday, 40-cent wings. Come on! Is it you can't hold it up? Or what?
Let's see here.
Drop the newspaper.
Last week, Jessica Kowinski put on the dog for the photos with Santa at the Tombstone Animal Shelter. She made the costume to represent her husky that passed away, and has found it to be a hit with adults and children alike. Now, that's true.
Next.
Xanax 632. This is for Pete. My question, what are the properties of numerical SPL? What comes together to create a high score in SPL competition? What a term lab itself is sensing.
I think just to clarify, I asked the person if what they're talking about is essentially the disambiguation between loudness and intensity, and they were looking more so toward what SPL is in and of itself, and that is still the same answer. We're still talking about the difference between what your ears hear and versus what the term lab hears, and that still, as I mentioned before, comes right back down to. By the way, if anybody missed that, Steve was itching his nuts.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Thigh, inner thigh.
Alright, well, from this angle, it looks like there you go. Make sure we get a zoom of that on YouTube. No, it still comes right back to the exact same concept. It's still a game of intensity versus loudness. The impact of the wave. Essentially, the term lab is nothing more than an air pressure gauge, and it measures the difference in pressure at any given oscillation. In this case, what is it, from 20 to 80 hertz, and then you can get an RTA upgrade where it will read further. But it's still just that. I mean, I know in reading this question, it seems like the person was looking for a more elaborate answer, and the answer is really not that elaborate. It's just oscillating pressure. It's not loudness. It's sound intensity. It's the velocity with which air or the pressure behind the airwave or the wave front hits that sensor.
Yes, I am. What are you gonna eat?
Tonight?
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever parents are cooking. What's the requirements for an international dealer?
Bernie, BP87. Also for Pete, what does 45 degreeing the corners in a box, and does kerfing the port improve SPL or SQ? Where have you been lately? We miss you on the PWK forum.
Well, the reason why I'm not on the forum, 2 reasons now.
940 case numbers.
No, well, the first, the most recent reason is that my internet receiver blew, or something on it blew, and I'm waiting until the text can come out and fix my internets. But other than that, there's something wrong with the PHP script on my forum where I can't log in as me. What I might have to do eventually is maybe create another account and get in there for the time being. But what I'm thinking of doing, since I'm building the new PWK Designs website, which Steve got a little glimpse of,
So kick ass, man.
what I might do at the same time is reinstall the script. I'm hoping that that it doesn't delete any of the information that's already there as far as anybody's posts, which it shouldn't, because that's all in the PHP, not in PHP, SQL tables.
If it does, it's censorship, and he's just not admitting it.
Yeah, that's what it is. And it's all Steve's fault.
Yes.
Because
What about 45s?
45s, it can help. I mean, you would think that it would help, because essentially the whole idea between using 45-degree angles is to get rid of the little backwards air swirl when you're going around an L port or even a complete U bend. It's kind of hard to explain without having any sort of graphics. In fact, once I produce this video for YouTube, I might put in a little.
Here you go. We're gonna do it right now. Here's your port. Here's the corner of the port. And he's gonna draw the swirls that keep swirling around.
Okay, the air normally would go here, but what actually happens? Most of the air will go like this, if you can see it over the microphone. But what happens? Some of the air is it does this number here. Now, that's because as the vent changes direction, it actually widens in that area. As the air sees it, it actually widens, creates an area of low pressure. The whole idea of the 45-degree angles, as long as they're shaped to maintain the proper cross-sectional area, is to reduce that little area of low pressure. Normally that's desirable whether you're looking for sound quality or if you're generating pressure for SPL purposes. You really can't go wrong with that. The only place where I could see not using it is if your design relies heavily on vent resonance, in which case you can actually gain a little bit of vent resonance by not using them, but that's very rare cases. Most people don't design enclosure that concentrate on vent resonance. Was there anything else to the question?
I have basically the last 45 case numbers. I can say rare would mean that 5 or 6 out of those end up with sections where you don't have a 45 in the rear corner, and then you've got others that do. Sometimes you got a 45 on the inside corner of your port and the other, and he's going after path length and whatnot on a lot of these horn designs, and some of them don't have 45s in them at all, and others do.
Yeah,
others have roundovers, you know.
Yeah, that's the other thing. A part of the question was the kerfing and essentially wide flares and wood bending. I mean, no matter what, it looks cool, and a lot of people think that just because an enclosure has it, it will invariably be louder. In fact, there's a lot of companies that use that design principle as a gimmick. They'll, whether or not an enclosure needs it, they'll put a, slap a huge round over flare and wood band the hell out of it, just because they're capitalizing on that assumption. And though it doesn't really hurt the enclosure, it doesn't always help either. If, in the worst case scenario, your effective vent length becomes shorter, to you know, changing the alignment of the enclosure. The fact of the matter is that when you have to look at our the column of air inside the vent as never fully leaving the vent. It just kind of shifts back and forth. A lot of the air, let's say that you were to put some dust in there into the vent and play a tone, a lot of the dust will never leave the vent because it just moves maybe you know, 2 inches to maybe 10 inches tops along that vent back and forth, and it stays in there. It's the same air,